Well, hello, everybody, and happy Friday. It feels like it has been a long week, doesn't it? Stephen Meade here with Domicile Real Estate. This is our SoCal first-time home buyer market update. Once again, Domicile Real Estate, where we are on a mission to help California's renters become homeowners. Obviously, the rental market is pretty crazy out there, so maybe not a great time to be a renter, and it might look like it's a little bit better of a time, certainly an easier time to be a buyer. And I want to talk a little bit about something first before we begin, because, this is, I think for months, right, real estate professionals, people like me, have been hearing from buyers, there's no homes, we'll do anything to get an offer accepted, et cetera, et cetera. We're so frustrated, we don't think we're ever going to get a house. And now I can confidently say the opposite is true. But now buyers have a new problem, right? Which is that they're concerned they might be making a mistake. They might be going into a situation where they're afraid that homes might lose a lot in value. And so one of the things I kind of want to address right out of the gate is two things. Number one, I don't think we're heading for a crash. I've talked about the reasons why. I think we just simply don't have enough housing. And even though we're seeing the inventory go up quite a bit, right? I don't think many of these sellers need to sell. So if they don't get the price they're looking for, they may just pull these homes to the market. So I don't know how real that inventory is in terms of modifying prices. But the second thing is this, that I want to impart to you, and this is really the most important thing, is now is a time to really be thinking about your future and hedging your bets, right? And so here is the dilemma, right? If you're a buyer out there in the marketplace right now. So, the first thing, right, that you're facing is, if you don't do anything, are you going to face big rent increases and find interest rates go up and your buying power is reduced and you are in a worse position a year from now than you are today, right? Like, so that's a risk of doing nothing or staying as a renter. And then the risk is, well, what if I buy something and a year from now it's worth 5% less or whatever, and I feel like I could have bought more with my money, and I didn't maybe make the best choice. So, that's the other side of the risk equation. And one of the things I'm telling buyers, the advice that I give, the advice that I follow myself if I were a first-time home buyer right now, is be opportunistic and look for opportunities. And the second part of that is, what I mean by opportunities is, you may love that flashy house with the busy open house, and it might feel good to write an offer on a house that other people want, even in a market that is a little bit slower. Don't do it. Now is the time to be buying the house that's not getting a lot of attention. Now is the time to be buying the house that you think will work for you, not just this year and next year, but 5 or 10 years into the future, right? Because that sort of hedges and solidifies your situation. You're not really at a risk for anything if you don't have to be a seller, right, at a given point in time. Having the ability to choose when you sell a home is incredibly important and to your advantage. So, for example, right now is not the time to get something that you don't really like, but maybe you think is just a good deal. Don't do that either. That leads to you being unhappy with the house you're in. Ask me how I know this, working with people, for, well over a decade now, decade and a half. Anybody who bought a house they didn't like, it didn't end well, whether it was good times or bad. You want to be in a position where no matter what happens, you are in a good spot. And really, that's what we help people do, is kind of hedge their risks and get into something that we know is going to work for them. All right, let's start off and let's get to the statistics. What's going on and what's happening in our market? So first off is our closed prices. Now, remember, this is 4 to 6 weeks old, because this is based on transactions negotiated a while back. And what do we see? We basically see a flat market for both entry-level and our entry-level condos and our entry-level single-family homes. It bounces around, but the reality is you see it jumped up, and then it's kind of just slid across here for the last month or so. Maybe small increases, but not really big amounts, a much slower rate of increase. I do think we're going to see that be truly flat going forward. We're going to start seeing those numbers come up here in the next few weeks. If we look at our total monthly payment, this is actually some good news, right? Like we actually peaked around $5,400, and right now I'd say we were just under $5,300 for our entry-level single-family home. That's based on 5% down, 30-year fixed, mortgage insurance, taxes, homeowners insurance, everything rolled in. Again, as we've talked about several times, most of our clients, over 50%, are using adjustable rate mortgages, either a 7-year or a 10-year, meaning it is fixed for the first 7 or 10 years. If we look here at our condo numbers, we're right at $4,277 for that total monthly payment. And remember, this also includes principal. So if you are renting a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo and you're renting for around $3,500 a month, you really should look into buying something, because just on a basis, when you factor in principal as well as potential tax savings, you're kind of looking right there at being at parity, even at 5% down. Now, if we look at our minimum income, household income required with no other debts, right around $105,000 here for our condo, and we are right around $130,000 for our entry level single family home. So again, that is based on the minimum household income with no other debts. Now let's get to our absorption rate, right? And this number really, I think, is the one that tells you almost what you need to know. We are in the 60s for both of our categories, both our entry-level single-family home and entry-level condo. Just as a reminder, folks, this data is for our Los Angeles and Orange counties combined. And our entry-level single-family home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath detached home, and our entry-level condo is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath attached home. We are right in the mid-60s for absorption rate. And believe it or not, that's actually a pretty balanced, sort of supply and demand, right? That means that neither sellers nor buyers have a huge advantage. It can kind of turn the screws. But I've said this before, and I'm going to go off share it because this is super important. This is a market aggregate, meaning taking everything all together. There are some houses that will be hot houses and you will compete against multiple buyers. This is happening, and understand that. The next thing that you need to understand, though, is for every house that is like that, that means there's also one that is under, right? That is maybe below average in competitiveness. So, if you play your cards right, and like I said, be an opportunist, you can find that there might be some places where you're able to get a little bit of an advantage, especially if you're willing to do work on a property. I know the concern is finding contractors. I think if there is a recession coming, contractor availability will go up. Lumber prices are the lowest they've been in 9 months. So not all bad news on that front. I think it might be time to start thinking about a fixer property again. Now, if we look at our inventory, this is really the one that says kind of what's happening here. Our condo inventory has risen. It is still not where we were at this point last year. So condo inventory is still down, but look at that entry-level single-family home inventory. That is roughly 10% or so higher than our peak number back in the middle of the summer of last year. So if you are looking for single-family homes, you have something you've never had before, choice, or at least something you haven't seen in the last 2 years. And again, I cannot emphasize, if you have choice, use it. Buy something that, number one, is not the house everybody is going after, and number two, is something that you think will work for you long term, that you actually want. That is really the smart move right now. Now, here for our percent still active, you see we've kind of leveled off here. This is after 14 days. Again, we have a little bit of holiday stuff messing us up still with these numbers. I think they might actually be slightly lower. Our entry-level single-family home has never been this easy, and our entry-level condos were about where we were last summer. And then finally, this is the graph that really kind of says a lot, is looking at this inventory as measured in weeks, right? So we are right around 6 weeks of inventory for both entry-level single-family homes and entry-level condos. How does that rate? Well, number one, if you're buying an entry-level single-family home, it has really never been this good. That is significantly better than it was last summer at any point. If you were an entry-level condo buyer, well, it's really kind of close to where we were last year. So about the same level in terms of week supply of homes. But again, if you are an entry-level single-family home buyer, if you thought you will never be able to get a single-family home, you've been priced out, what you are seeing is the difference between, in any given market, right? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, we're going to call it single-family homes in Tarzana, California. That's in the San Fernando Valley. There are a lot of homes built in the 1950s, somewhere in the flatlands, somewhere in the hills. Let's say entry-level homes, around 1,300 to 1,500 square feet. Before, the price range was fairly narrow for that category, right? Like, the best houses and the least desirable houses weren't super far apart from each other. Now that gap has widened. That unimproved but well-maintained grandma house is now significantly lower priced than the one that has the absolutely beautiful pictures with the open up floor plan and the brand new kitchen. We're seeing that widen a bit. And I think that's really an opportunity for those of you who can do the work to the property. We might actually do a cool video on alternate ways to finance a renovation, because I know if you're a first-time home buyer, you are probably rich on income and poor on cash. So you might want to look for alternative ways to finance that renovation. We can help you do that. So questions, comments, as always, we love them. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And then finally, if you or someone you know should be a homeowner and is stuck renting, which is terrible, definitely reach out to us. We can offer you a 15-minute, no cost, no obligation call just to kind of give you an idea. How do things work? What are your options? Bounce ideas off of us. We're there for that. Definitely look for the link down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And we will see you again real soon.